Okay, so we have slope application today. We need to review a few things before we begin. First, we need to know the slope formula. And the slope formula, remember, is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's important to remember. Also, remember that a unit rate means you have a denominator of 1. Okay, so you got to make sure that it is equal to 1. So in the first one, you're going to find your ordered pairs. It says find the rate of change of high temperature between June 1st and June 6th. This is June 1st. This is June 6th. And so on June 1st, you have the ordered pair of 1 and 72. And then you have 6 and 76. Use your slope formula. M is equal to 76 minus 72 and 6 minus 1. When you say 76 minus 72, it gives you 4. 6 minus 1 is 5. You've got to get that unit rate. In order to get the unit rate, you divide by 5. So you have 1 in the denominator, and that's going to give you 0.8 over 1. And so your answer is 0.8 degrees per day. Remember, the slash is equal to per. You can write the word per if you'd like. Now find the rate of change in high temperature between June 6 and June 8. On June 6, you have 6 and 76. And on June 8, you have 8 and 84. Use your slope formula. M is equal to 84 minus 76 and 8 minus 6. 84 minus 76 is going to give you 8 over 2. And then you have a difference, if you divide by 2, of 4 over 1, which gives you 4 degrees per day. Okay, moving on to the next is saying during which of these intervals did the temperature rise the faster? So you have A and problem B. So on A, it was 0.8 degrees per day, and it was B was 4 degrees per day. So question B is your answer with 4 degrees per day because 4 is bigger than 0.8. If we look at number 2, you have your X and your Y, and then we have our weeks. So we have 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, so it's every other week, and we're trying to record weight of Josh who started a diet. So to find the rate of change from 0 to 2. So you're going to do 0 to 24 and and 2 to 19. This is where I get my numbers from. So then you do the slope formula, and on the slope formula, you're going to say 219 minus 224 over 2 minus 0, which gives me a negative 5 because 224 is larger than 219, and it's negative over 2. Divide by 2, divide by 2, and my answer is a negative 2.5 pounds per week. Don't forget the negative. Next, we'll find the rate of change between week 2 and week 4. So week 2 is 2 and 219, and 4 is 4 and 221. And so now I have my slope formula, which is M is equal to 221 minus 219 over 4 minus 2, which gives me 2 over 2, which is 1 pound per week. Next, it says find week 4 and week 6. Week 4 is 4 and 221, and 6 and 215. So if I have M is equal to 215 minus 221 over 6 minus 4, 215 minus 221 is going to give me a negative 6 over 2. If I divide by 2, and that's going to give me a negative 3 over 1, which gives me a negative 3 pounds per week. Okay, so now let's look at week 6 to week 8. 6 is 6 and 215, and 8 is 8 and 215. It asks us to explain, so we'll do that at the end. So if I have M is equal to 215 minus 215 over 8 minus 6. So that gives me a 0 in my denominator. And so my answer is 0 pounds per week. And if I explain, I'm going to explain it by saying the rate of change is 0, meaning the weight did not change. Okay, so now we're going to look at graphs. So in graphs, you're going to look and see, how do I get from 60 to 160, 160 to 260, 260, and if you can see, they're increasing by 100 each time. Okay, and we know half of 100 is 50, so these between are going to be halfway between. So if we look at that, and we have our first one, it says the rate of change from 1 hour to 4. Here's my hours. 1 is going to be 1 and 60, because it's 1 and 60. And 2, right here, 4. So here's my 4, and 4 is going to be 4 and 160. So my slope formula, M is equal to 160 minus 60 over 4 minus 1, which gives me 100 over 3, divide by 3, which equals 33.3, repeating over 1. So my answer is equal to 33.3 repeating miles per hour, or you can put miles per hour. Okay. On B, the rate of change from hour 8 to hour 10. So in hour 8 to hour 10, here's your 8. You notice it goes halfway between. If you have 360, you add 50 to it, you're going to get 410. So I know that this is 410. So I have, on this, I'm going to have 8 and 410. And then on 10 is pretty easy. You go up and you see that it falls on the 460. I have 10 and 460. So then I'm going to say M is equal to 460 minus 410 and 10 minus 8, which gives me 50 over 2, which is 25 if you divide by 2. I'm sorry, I did that in my head. 25 miles per hour. Okay, next problem is going to be water depth in a lake over years. So we have our years at the bottom. Here's our years, and this is the depth. So if we find in 2000, here's my 2000, and I go up and you've got to figure out how do you get from 58 to 66, and you're going to take half of that. So on this one right here, we know that this is going to be 62. So in 2000, 62. In 2004, here's my 2004. We got to find the halfway between. The halfway between on this one is going to be 78. And so then I take M is equal to 78 minus 62 over 2004 minus 2000, which gives me 16 over 4. Divide by 4 to get that unit rate, which gives me 4 over 1. So it is equal to 4 feet per year is the rate of change. And again, this is water depth in a lake. So to find the rate of change from 2012, so here's 2012. So we're going to say 2012, and we already know that that's 62 from the previous problem. And then we have 2016. Oops. Let me make that a little bit neater for you. So 2016, and we know for 2016, we're here, and it's going to be halfway between is going to be 46. Okay, so 46, so if we have M is equal to 46 minus 62 over 216 minus 212, that's going to give me a negative 16 over 4, which gives me a negative 4, because if I divide it by 4 over 1, it would give me a negative 4. So my answer is going to be equal to a negative 4 feet per year. Okay, so now let's look next. Ava started a savings account with $500 in her account. After 6 months, her savings account balance was $731. Find the rate of change. So remember in lesson 3, if you need to go back, was the rate of change lesson. So you can go back and look at that. And so just remember that we're looking for months, and then we're looking for the balance, which is going to be your money. Okay, so first we know that in 6 months, after 6 months her savings account. So actually we're going to start with 0. So we're going to have, when she started at 0 months, she had 500. And then after 6 months, she had 731. So if you use your formula and you say 731 minus 500 over 6 minus 0, this is going to equal 231 over 6. If you divide both by 6, it's going to give you, when you have 231, put it in your calculator, divide it by 6. It should give you $38.50 per month. Okay, airplane's flying at an altitude of 36,000 feet when it begins its descent. 12 minutes into the descent is 29,400 feet. What is the rate of change in the altitude? So we're trying to find the rate of change in altitude. So we know when we start on the ground with 0 feet, it was 36,000. And then when 12 minutes into it, we moved to 29,400. So this 0 is your minutes, that's your minutes. This is your altitude in feet, altitude in feet. Okay, so now we know that we're going to take our slope formula and we're going to say 29,000. Oh, it's 29,400. So sorry. Let's start that over. 29,400 minus 36,000. And when you subtract 12 minus 0, you're going to get 12 on the bottom. This is your denominator. And you're going to get a negative 6,600. When you divide both by 12, you know right here you're going to have a negative answer, and it's going to give you 550 feet per minute, because again, this is minutes. Okay, now look at 7. 10 minutes into her workout, Laura burned 98 calories. Okay, 25 minutes into it, she burned 272. Find the rate of change of calories burned between 10 and 25 minutes. So we know we have two ordered pairs. We know one is 10 and we know one is 25. Those are your minutes. In 10 minutes, it was 98. And in 25, it was 272. So we're going to use our slope formula, 272 minus 98 over 25 minus 10, which is going to give me 174 over 6. And when you divide both by 6, it's going to give me 11.6 calories per minute. Okay, and the last problem. The population of Beaufort is 16,200 in 2010 and 13,824 in 2016. Find the rate of change in population. So we're going to have the year 2010. I don't think I really gave myself enough room. Hold on a second. Okay, so 2010. And that rate change in 2010 is this right here, 16,200. And then you have 2016. And then that one is this one, which is 13,824. So we're going to say M is equal to 13,824 minus 16,200. And then you have 2016 minus 2010, which gives you, on the 15 years difference there, I'm so sorry, 6, what am I thinking? Not 15, that's going to be 6 years difference. And then if you have 13,824 and you subtract 16,200, put that in your calculator. You can get a negative 2,376. When you divide both by 6, you're going to have a negative, get our calculator out. And so if you have 2,376 and you divide it by 6, you're going to get 396. And that's going to be people per year. Okay, we'll go back over this tomorrow in class and work the practice sheet tomorrow. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me, and have a good night.